Welcome to part two of our substitution video. You can see at the top there it's WALT 2. To give you a bit of an idea where I got these from, here's your booklet. And so I'm doing example 2 today and the paired problem. So if we have a look here, substitution, if you watch that first video, it's basically we're going to replace this y down here with this term. And what I mean by a term is x plus 2. So the whole thing is going to go in there for that y. But I picked this particular example because we need to be super careful about this negative. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to name them up. I'm going to call this once again equation 1. And I'm going to call this equation 2. And then I'm going to write that I'm going to substitute, I'm not going to write the whole thing, equation 1 into equation 2. So if we have a look, I'm going to get 2x. Now I've got this minus, and I'm going to put a bracket there. And then in that bracket, I'm going to put in the x plus 2. And of course, don't forget to put our equals 14 on the end, because otherwise it's going to be very difficult for us to solve it. Now, why have I put this bracket in here? Well, I've put this bracket in here because of this negative. And what it's actually going to do is, why it's going to make this negative x, it's actually going to affect the sign of this positive 2. And I better make that a bit more clearer that it's a positive. So it's going to change that from a positive into a negative because of this negative here. So one way you could think about it is it's negative 1 times positive 2, which is going to give us negative 2. So if I expand this bracket, don't forget your 2x at the start. I'm going to get a negative x, and then I'm going to get a negative 2 is equal to 14. Now, of course, if you put a plus 2 here, like many of us do, then, of course, this question from this point on is going to be wrong. And that's frustrating because you've got all the algebra right, but you've just made a bit of a mistake with your positives and your negatives. So I've got 2x's and I take an x away. I'm left with 1x. Take 2 is equal to 14. And we all know how to solve this. Here we've got a take 2, so I am going to add 2, do the opposite. And of course, as long as I do it on both sides of an equal sign, I'm fine. So x becomes equal to the number 16. Now, once again, at this stage, I usually like to stop and just go back through and make sure that I've done everything right. Because if I keep on going from this point and it's wrong, well, that's going to frustrate me a little bit. So I've got a choice between putting it back into equation 1 and equation 2. Now, I think equation 1 is far easier than equation 2, so I'm going to pick equation 1. So I'm going to say that y is equal to x plus 2, and I already worked out, so if x is equal to 16, which is what I worked up here, then y is going to be equal to 16 plus 2, which gives me y is equal to 18. So I've now found my point of intersection. So it's x16 and y18. So I always remember, once I've finished the question, go back and have a look and see if I think I've done everything fine, and I have. Make sure, of course, that I put x first and then y second, because I can sometimes make those mistakes if you've watched a few of these videos. So over here is your paired problem. Okay, now it's slightly different, of course, because this one has in it a 2x minus 5. But if you want to give this a go, I recommend pausing the video now, and then I'm going to go through and do the answer for you. So if you want to do that, pause now. Okay, so if y is equal to 2x minus 5, then 2y, well, actually be careful because it's negative 2y. So once again, I'll make this 1 and I make this 2. So if I substitute equation 1 into equation 2, then I'm going to get the following. So it's going to be 7x, take 2x minus 5 equals 16. Now be careful of this negative 2 here, because it's the same trap as was over here. In fact, I think this one's probably a little bit easier because you've got the number there. So you're going to get 7x minus, well, 2 times 2x is 4x's. And then negative 2 times negative 5 is going to give me positive 10. And that, of course, is equal to 16. So we have a look here. 7x's take away 4x's is 3x's. So 3x plus 10 is equal to 16. Now we're back to that probably very similar linear algebra step that we've been dealing with since we started grade 10. So we're going to take away 10 on this side, and we're going to take away 10 on that side, giving me 3x is equal to 6. And then we're going to divide that by 3, and we're going to divide that by 3. So x becomes equal to the number 2. Now, once again, this is where I'd stop and just go through, make sure everything's all right. I also, too, need to be careful because I am running out a bit of a room down here. But now I know this, I'm going to take this value for x, and I'm going to put it into this equation up here. So, here we go. So, if x is equal to 2, then y is equal to 2 times x, which of course is 2, so 2 times x, and then of course take away the 5. So y becomes equal to 4, take 5, which of course means that y, and I just might be able to squeeze it in there, is equal to -1. I'll just move it up a little bit so it's on camera. So now, where did these 2 points meet? Well, they made it, of course, 2 dash minus 1. So that was part 2 of it. A little bit more, I would say, advanced equations. Be careful very much, like we picked these two, because be careful of the negative that's there. And that's your paired problem there. So if you're working along in the booklet, you should see heaps of questions in which for you to practice. Good luck, and I'll catch you next time.